What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dean, aka the Blue Crusader, and welcome back to another Terraria video guide. I'm going to be showing you how to defeat Golem, which is one of the more harder hard mode bosses in Terraria, especially in the early stages when you've just completed Plantera and you're moving on to the next boss. The Golem can be a really big challenge, which for me personally was even harder than Plantera, so I'm going to give you my tips from an average player who managed to defeat the boss and show you just how I did it. So presuming that you followed the previous steps leading up to the boss's summoning and also all of the steps required to summon him and reach the temple, basically you need to access the jungle temple after you defeat Plantera and get the key to open it. Inside the Lihzahrd jungle temples you can summon the Golem boss by using the altar at the very edge of the dungeon. Now Golem is a hard mode boss and he's also really tough. He has a total of 39,000 max life, and most of this life is in the boss's headpiece, the body piece, and then the fists, which have the lowest health each, but they seem to be the most deadly. Now Golem actually drops some pretty good loot. I didn't really need the loot when I defeated him because I already had some pretty good weapons, but there's some nice melee and ranged weapons in there for anyone who's interested. You need to use a Lihzahrd power cell, which is an item from your inventory to actually activate the altar with to summon him. These are dropped by the lizards and the flying snakes inside the temple, and since there's such an abundance of these mobs and enemies, it should be pretty easy for you to acquire these power cells to summon the boss with. Now a lot of people will create blocks by putting blocks in front of themselves to block off a lot of the boss's attacks. The main body of the boss can't actually move through these blocks, but the biggest danger about the Golem boss is the fists, the lasers, and the head segment, which detaches and becomes even more dangerous in the second phase of the boss fight. Now the first form is quite easy to control, so let's cover the first form, okay? So basically it will shoot fireballs which ricochets off the tiles of the temple. These will bounce off and hit the player, so you'll have to jump over them and dodge them. So if you have Hermes boots to move around quick and a cloud in the bottle or rocket boots, it should be pretty easy to jump over all these and dodge them. But remember, you're getting punched by the fists as a ranged attack at the same time, so you have to dodge them. So it's best to make an arena with multiple platforms where you can easily dodge the fists and then jump over any of the projectiles when you need to. This is really important because if you dodge all of the ranged attacks, usually the fists will hit you too. There's two things you have to dodge here, and it can become a little bit tricky while doing it the first few times. I got beat by Golem a lot of times before I got this right. These fists basically fire out of his hand sockets on chains, and they'll fly around trying to hit you while he shoots these fireballs at you. As you damage the boss more, the frequency of his attacks will also increase, which makes him more dangerous to fight. The fists do actually have pretty limited range because it takes them a while to extend from the boss's body, and they move a little bit slower sometimes, but they can go through blocks, which makes them pretty dangerous. Also, if you hit them with a weapon, they'll also slightly retract, so this is really good to actually knock the fist back, which is super important. The boss will actually jump around the arena a lot more when you defeat the fists or when you hit him with attacks. When you hit the head to below half health, all of the previous attacks will keep going, but the eyes will actually fire eye lasers too, which also go through blocks, which adds another ranged attack which you need to be super careful of. And as you guessed it, as you damage the boss more, these eye lasers will become more rapid and it'll shoot them a lot quicker. The eye lasers are honestly a lot more dangerous than the bouncing fireballs, and this is what really made me fail it mostly. And as this happens, the fists will also not get bounced back when you hit them with weapons either, so he'll be firing rapid eye lasers, shooting fireballs, and hitting you with fists, which just become a huge problem. This is really important. You should really make sure that you take out the fists on this boss, because the ranged fists makes it impossible to dodge all these projectiles at the same time as well. Now the second form, you should basically have the fist destroyed and the boss should be detached from his body. He should have a floating around head which flies around the arena while the boss's body is jumping around. Basically the head will detach from the body and become invincible, and it can also pass through objects. This is important to target the body at this stage. You really should destroy the fists very early in the fight, because if you don't, they'll become an even bigger added problem in this part of the fight. When you damage the body more and the boss gets lower and lower, the attacks will come in higher frequency just like the first phase, so be really careful of the damage output that the boss can put on you at this point in the game. You have to completely destroy Golem's body here. This is the most important part that I can tell you. This is really important to destroy the body in this stage. If you can destroy the body while the head is invincible, it will also cause a chain reaction and destroy the head too. Now, after you defeat Golem, this will actually set you up to do the next fight, which I will cover later, which is how to defeat the lunatic cultist who will spawn at the dungeon. When you defeat the boss, you'll get the Lihzahrdian idol achievement, which is to defeat Golem, the stone-faced ritualistic idol of the Lihzahrdian tribe. So that's how to spawn Golem, how to defeat Golem, and the strategies. The biggest stress is to avoid the hands and destroy the hands, aka the fists, as soon as possible, and then nuke down the body before you get killed by the projectiles that the boss fires. Make sure your arena is absolutely huge and you have a lot of mobility and area to move around, and also utilizing a mount can also be really beneficial for some parts of it. I recommend the unicorn mount because it gives you a lot of mobility, speed and jump height, but remember, when you're getting hit by projectiles, you'll want to be smaller, so running around without a mount can also be good to dodge things. So that's how to summon and defeat Golem in Terraria, and I'll be bringing you a guide on how to defeat some of the later bosses like the Moon Lord very soon. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more Terraria and Minecraft videos on the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.